this episode of Travelogue, we ride west into the wilderness, where spaces are vast and vacant, but bewitchingly beautiful. Here in the deserts of Dunhuang, we catch a glimpse of Earth's last species of truly wild horse, get chased by wild camels, and discover lush sanctuaries surrounded by sand. Woo! G'day guys, here we are setting up tent at destination Dunhuang, which was once an extremely important garrison town on the Silk Road. Now it's one of the very few places in the entire world where you can find the last remaining species of truly wild horse in its natural habitat. Now, if you're wondering why I've travelled all this way out into the desert to set up camp, we're going to be following a team of scientists who are dedicated to the conservation of flora and fauna at the Przewalski's horse. Volunteering, tourism, voluntourism, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be an exciting, amazing adventure, I'm sure of it. So why don't you join me? My name's Zhui, and this is Travelogue. Dunhuang is a city in China's northwest, in Gansu Province, perched on the edge of the Gobi Desert. Its location on the religious and cultural intersection of the Silk Road, combined with the desolate beauty of its topography, has bestowed upon it a number of breathtaking historical relics. One of them, the ruins of a gate that once connected east and west. This behind me is Yumen Pass, and merchants on the Silk Road would have had to come through here after the paths diverged into two at Dunhuang City. Now just 8 kilometers away from here is Yumen Pass Station, and that's our expedition base. Out here, 2,500 kilometers west of Beijing, it's like I'm walking in an era before the dawn of humanity. It's isolated, mysterious, romantic, but it's not just barren wasteland. Here there is water, and where there is water, there is life. And at this research station, there's a program that gets volunteers involved in protecting this life. As a teenager, I was a bit of a biology nerd, kinda still am, so I signed up. And because it's the summer holidays, I'm now stuck with a bunch of high school kids. Hooray!
Hello， 大家好，我叫陆楚河，来自深圳。我叫张叶晴，是来自山东济南。
我想通过这样一个活动，我能对那种野生动物的那些习性比较了解。
我是想找到一种慰藉，因为我觉得我长那么大没有做过什么真正帮助到别人的一种事情，想满足一下这种一个愿望。谢谢。
Yumen Pass Station is one of several research bases dotted across Dunhuang West Lake National Nature Reserve. The reserve is a wildlife protection zone 6 times the size of Hong Kong, and access is restricted. Day 1 of the program is focused on the elusive, endangered, and recently reintroduced Przewalski's horses, named after the Russian explorer who first scientifically described them. Whoa, this is cool! Can you believe this is in the middle of a desert? So now we've just entered the conservation area, which is this massive enclosure where the Przewalski's horses were released back into their natural environment. Now what we're going to be doing today is to help the scientists with their long-term monitoring. So we're going to be observing the horses from a distance and collecting some data about them, which will help the scientists with their conservation efforts. But of course, before the practical part, there's always a bit of theory.
野马野骆驼放归基地，我们现在所在的位置呢是在这儿，玉木关保护站这个位置。大家看到这个红色的区域，这是植被盖多，都在80%以上。是西湖那里，你看，这么多石。
There's quite a bit to get our heads around, but from what I understand, safeguarding this fertile area is fundamental. The reason why this nature reserve is so important is because it acts as the last ecological barrier against the encroaching sands of these two enormous deserts, the Kumtag Desert here and the Taklamakan. So the National Nature Reserve is part of a joint effort, a vital role it plays to prevent Dunhuang city from being swallowed up by the desert. It's happened in the past. In Xinjiang, the ancient kingdom of Lowlan vanished into the dunes. The hope is that through a conservation effort and with more public awareness, it won't happen again. Meantime, we're back on the lookout for Przewalski's horses, Earth's only surviving species of truly wild horse. These creatures were once extinct in the wild, and at one point, only 28 remained in the entire world. For now, they're nowhere in sight.
Yeah, I'm not going to lose hope. We haven't seen any horses in the past hour or so, but I mean, it reminds me of a time in Africa when I went rhino trekking, and it took us 8 hours on safari trucks and, you know, walking in the sun and sweating all day. And it wasn't until the sun set and we saw these shapes materialize out of the darkness, and it was a whole family of rhinos. So don't lose hope. That's the key.
Well, it would help if it wasn't 40 degrees Celsius and such a bruising ride.
Oh my God, over there, look! The horses! That's amazing! Oh my God. So here we are taking a bumpy safari ride into the wilderness, and fingers crossed we'll be able to see more of these Przewalski's horses. They're quite shy, so if we get up close and a bit too personal with them, they'll probably run away, but let's see. Let's hope that we do find a few more of them, because it was really cool. We just saw a few of them back there, and amazing. There's only 40 of them in this reserve, so keep an eye out for them.
Given the colossal size of West Lake Nature Reserve, it's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack. But hey, you never know.
Oh my God.
Records indicate that there are now around 3,000 Przewalski's horses worldwide. That represents a considerable success for the captive breeding program, given that each one alive today is descended from just 12 to 14 individuals living last century. And despite the loss of genetic diversity, they seem to be doing all right.
There's a little foal as well. Oh, 2 of them, 3 of them. Oh, that is so cool. So I think there are 3 adults and 3 little foals, and they're walking away from us.
Now that we've got a good spot to survey the fire family, it's time to put pen to paper.
So what we're doing as volunteers is to help these scientists observe what the horses are doing over the course of 30 minutes. It's called extended monitoring, and we have to fill out these tables. So once we know what the family group is called, we can look across and fill out what they're doing. So for example, whether they're lying down, sleeping, eating, mating. And what's really interesting is that the scientists have had so much contact with these horses that they can, from a distance, identify who's who in the zoo.
这个群里边原来有一个这个12年产的一个叫烈火的一个小公马，到13年
烈火
又产了2个，走在最前边的那个，我们叫美女马，
美女马，
皇后马。
哦，是。
她决定今天的行动方向，吃草、喝水，她有优先权。
The male one walks at the back.
Yeah.
每次是走在后面。So it's like he's looking after the rest of the family. So the woman's the boss, huh?
The queen. The male juvenile becomes an adult, and the king will give the young juvenile an exile. Because,
mean
the king thinks that
it's a threat, right?
Yeah, it's a threat.
Right. So the king horse will exile a younger male horse because he will find that he's a threat to his position as the leader.
Yeah, even the king once gave care to the young juvenile.
You mean even if it's his child, like his offspring? That's so interesting. It's chaos! I don't know what's happening. I think there's a camel that's coming our way. We have to run.
We may be looking for wild horses, but this wild camel seems to have found us instead.
Wow.
放好了。
way. It's like I've seen a mythical creature or something, and it's better than seeing a unicorn.
Coming up next, we visit a thriving vineyard in the scorched heart of the wasteland, help some conservationists with their fieldwork, and get a taste of life at a scientific research station.
Today we're going to be on the lookout for the Wild Bactrian Camel so we can monitor these critically endangered creatures. Now, before that, we're going to go to a village called Yardang, and it's a village that's situated just exactly where the desert meets the nature reserve, and it's also the most western village in all of Gansu Province. So, let's hit the road!
Yardang is a relatively comfortable drive down the highway, half an hour from Yumen Pass Research Station.
It's so hot and windy and so dry that my lips keep sticking to my teeth when I talk.
It's punishing out here. I'm feeling like this great expanse of earth, thirsty and baked. Wait, is that a floating city? The mirage, I'm told, is Yardang, population 300. It's not exactly what desert oasis conjures up in my mind. You know, palm trees and crystalline pools to have a dip in, but it's way bigger than I'd imagined, and way greener. In fact, almost every household in this desert town cultivates some sort of fruit, the most popular being grapes. One local vineyard owner tells us that the environmental conservation has helped increase their harvest.
这个地方这个气候它特别适合种这个王子桃，和新疆差不多，四面环沙嘛，它的瓜果，这水果口味特别好。我们这个风季一般到5月份嘛，4月5月份，风一刮你可能几米都看不到人，能见度很低。
从这个绿地的面积这几年是上升的还是下降的？
面积在上升，每年在搞这个就是在红柳啊。 胡杨树啊，每年在他们保护措施也好。
Where Yardang village ends, the sand begins again, and so does our volunteer work.
Woo! So, thank you. We're braving the elements and the rough terrain, just so we can get to a hidden camera. And I think what we're doing is changing the memory stick because it's full, or SD card, whatever it is these days.
这就是红外相机，放在这个野生动物经过的路线上，会拍到就是野生动物行走的就是生活规律吧，算是，就是一个记录仪。我们现在就是要把这个打开，要把电池换了。
红外线。
哦，
你们一般多长时间换一次？
是3个月，3个月换一次。
就是有动物过来就激活了，然后没激活
对，
就是
它是红外相机，就是有动物经过，它就自己开始工作。要是没有动物的话，保持一个静态的话，它就不工作了。
It's got the feel of a covert operation. We know from experience that a wild camel can find us humans, but surely it won't be able to find that. The researchers do this every day, year in, year out, navigating the dusty trails on the trail of wild animals.
这是我们这个制高点，也是当年汉代这个地方建了一个烽火台。这个制高点呢，我们可以上去，可以看到我们这个附近的野骆驼、野马群在。如果我们发现这个那天我们碰到那个东就是伤人那个野骆驼的话，我们再不能往前走。要是没的话，我们继续往前。
From the top, the nature reserve swelters and spills towards the hazy horizon. The mounds we see are ruins of the Great Wall and its towers where soldiers once stood, guarding this precious, fertile region from invaders. We don't find what we're looking for, so we carry on. Then, after some rigorous squinting through our binoculars, we see movement about 100 meters away. Not the wild camels we were seeking, but a big family of wild horses.
这个群呢，就是因为这一片地域它的水草比较丰富，然后它的野性恢复的比 接近它。它一般现在这个距离应该对它来说就是最安全的距离了。我们要再靠近点，它就会走了。
Really?
Even from afar, they're magnificent. It's hard to believe, but these creatures were once hunted. It's understood that human fault, habitat loss, and changes in climate drove them to extinction. But thanks to science and conservationists, their story shifted from survival to revival.
So you might be curious as to why and how there's so much greenery in the middle of this super arid region. Now it's because there's a mountain range south of this area and it's covered in snow, and when it melts it seeps through the soil and saturates the area, and that's why there are wetlands that exist in the middle of a desert. How cool is that?
But even though vegetation here is flourishing and there is plenty of moisture underground, animals can still have difficulty locating reliable water sources. This is especially true of the Przewalski's horses, which were reintroduced into the wild at West Lake Nature Reserve in 2010 and 11. We've stopped by one of their main water supplies, so we can assist the scientists with one part of their extensive environmental assessment, taking down the pond's measurements.
Because these horses were bred in captivity and have been reintroduced into the natural environment, they haven't quite yet adapted to life in the wild, so the scientists still have to help them with their survival. So what they've done here is to create a water source for them. They've dug a little puddle into a water hole so they can access water in times of need. Even in the winter, the scientists have to come back when it's frozen over and they have to crack the ice open so the horses can drink the water underneath. I guess reintroduction is a pretty long and difficult process, so I really hope that the horses will one day roam around this area free and truly wild again.
Our next mission, plant surveys. Away from the wetlands, the soil is notoriously parched and vegetation is sparse.
Much of this area is extremely arid, so the plants here have all adapted to life in this harsh environment. Now behind me here is a species of poplar. Legend has it that it can last for 3,000 years. So for the first 1,000, it's alive and flourishing. For the next 1,000 after it's dead, it stays standing. And for the last 1,000 years, after it's fallen over, it refuses to disintegrate into the ground. And because of that, locals respect its resilience and strength, two qualities of the many that are required to survive in this harsh environment.
Plants are just as much part of ecosystems as animals, and so they comprise a substantial proportion of the research done at West Lake Nature Reserve. So, as much as I'd like to keep camel chasing all day, it's not our only agenda. We're collecting data on the plants growing here, tallying the number of them in a fixed 30 by 30 metre area, and taking the individual measurements.
So, have you guys already counted how many poplars are in this area?
Quite a lot. So we divided the whole area into 5 parts, and then we're counting each part, and then we add them together.
It doesn't sound particularly challenging, but it's almost 6 o'clock in the evening and it's still close to 40 degrees. Credit to the researchers who are out and about for hours in the searing heat every day. And these kids, good on them too. Instead of watching downloads on the devices, they're counting camel thorn shrubs.
16.
17.
Oh, little one. Good eye, good eye.
17.
35 and 36.
37. 38. 39.
Back at base, I discover that the researchers at Human Pass Station are multi-talent, out of necessity, they tell me. Anyway, I know for sure that there's at least some skill involved.
I'm going to learn how to make this special type of noodle. 这是叫兰州凉面. Dunhuang. He's making it look extremely easy. Check it out. 拉到这么长。Ah. Hey, this is fun. It's broken already. 为什么要这样？ Oh. He said, don't put it in, it's that bad.
I'm generally a hazard in the kitchen, so I leave him to it. There are no supermarkets around, so everything is organically produced on site, hand-picked, and, like the noodles, handmade. Crops don't grow well in this climate, so meals are simple but hearty.
Thank you. Oh, 谢谢钟老师。
辣椒吃不吃啊？
Service. 吃一点点嘛。
Awesome, this is so cool. You know, I get to have dinner with these guys who are the backbone to this entire project. And I'm just so honoured to be here with them. They've made everything possible. And we've got so much to thank for them, not just because of, you know, letting us be here, but also because they're doing something so good for the environment, something so precious. So, 谢谢你们，真的。Coming up next, we continue our quest to locate the critically endangered two-humped beasts of the wild and get much more than we bargained for. So we're back on the camel trail. Since that brief encounter with Dundun, we still haven't caught sight of any wild Bactrian camels. In this extremely erratic weather, it's decided that only one truck should continue with the camel chase, minimizing the risk and maximizing our chances. Turns out we're the lucky few.
Oh my god. Yeah. I've finally seen some camels. It's taken a while, but 这群是7匹。4个小的。
4个小的。去年下了2批。
See how close we can get.
今年又下了2批。去年生的是1公1母，今年也是1公1母应该。
Let's see how close we can get. I'm not sure, because they're wild. 他们不怕人吗？
怕。你要是走得近的话，它就跑了。你像这一批是那个黄黄嘛，前面这个，它要看见你过去的话，它就自己过来了。那2个母的，还有那个小骆驼，它见人就跑了。
I mean, these creatures are just so wild, so to be able to get so close to them is unbelievable. Oh, looks like they're starting to head away from us. Better than us. I mean, better than them coming straight at us to attack. 这些骆驼有跟家的骆驼有什么不同？
它们的主要就是反正个头比较大，腿比较长，身子比较小，容易奔跑嘛，不是？家养的骆驼就是腿比较短。
Wild Bactrian camels are only found in China and Mongolia, and it's projected that their rapidly waning population will be reduced by another 80% by 2033. Adults are above 2 meters tall at the hump and can weigh over 800 kilograms, so you wouldn't exactly want to get in their way.
They're so cute. Oh my gosh.
Go.
Want me to do a quick stand up? Oh, yeah, quick.
上哪儿？上这里，上这上面。
Oh my gosh, we escaped. Oh my god, that was a close shave. Can't even breathe because it's so hot out here. I had to run away from Huang, who is one of the 2 camels. The other one's Dundun, and they're both like there he is, Dundun over there. Dundun and Huang, their names together, Dunhuang. They were both rescued from the wild when they were around 1 year old. So they quite like humans, and I think they've come to say hello. Who knew that these enormous creatures could be so adorable? Oh. Oh, hello. Gorgeous. This is just surreal. Oh my gosh. I think they're fighting for our attention.
Mr. Lu tells me that Dundun and Huang are always bickering. In fact, Huang once banished Dundun from the group, and it looks like he's doing it again. Now he's got the scratching apparatus all to himself to get at those scabby tick bites.
Hello. What are you trying to say, huh? You've come back to destroy more equipment? The reason why this railing has been broken is because the camels are really itchy and they were scratching themselves on it. And that's how powerful they are. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. That's my bag. Oh no, that's my bag. That's my bag. Oh my gosh. Oh no, he just wants to scratch. Oh.
These beasts are wonderfully dopey, aren't they? But they're still being illegally hunted, persecuted mainly for competing with domesticated camels and livestock for precious resources.
Aww.
Estimates say there are fewer than 500 of these camels left in China.
It's urinating. Can you hear that? He's defecating.
那骆驼拉那便便，它现在吃的比较肥壮，粪比较大。
Oh, here we go again. Guess we're going to be stranded for another half hour.
So what the researchers are doing now, they're grabbing some dried grass and they're going to feed them to try and distract them from us. They know exactly where the food is. Oh, he's a hungry one, isn't he? He's drooling everywhere.
With our volunteer tasks all ticked off, we drive 90 kilometers away from Yumen Pass Station for some scenic sightseeing. This is Dunhuang Yardang National Geopark, and the Yardangs here, these specific desert rock formations, are the biggest in China.
It's believed that hundreds of thousands of years ago, this place would have been largely underwater, and what I'm standing on now would have been the riverbed. Now, as time passed and the river started to dry up and the hot desert winds began to blow, it eroded the banks into what we see today.
The grassy wetlands of West Lake Nature Reserve seem a light year away. It's as if I'm walking on the etched surface of another planet. Although wild animals have been spotted here, more often than not, this place is utterly forsaken. Unmoving yet dramatic and eerily spectacular. Centuries ago, merchants, pilgrims and nomads on the Silk Road would often become lost for days in this natural maze. Some never made it out. As for those who did, they must have persevered in this unforgiving land with the same diligence and resolve as the researchers I've met on this trip.
切身体验到这些保护地球的艰辛。
保护动物是个很长期的过程，不可能一下子就完成。
We need to protect nature just like we need to protect ourselves. I learned the two features of the life, the vulnerability of the life, as well as their great ability.
As cliched as it sounds, conservation is a joint effort. I'm so grateful for being part of this experience.
You know, after spending all day chasing after horses and being chased by camels, I kind of forgot how heart-wrenchingly beautiful this place can be. It's moments like this when there's a sun setting and it's just endless stretches of sand and dunes and wetland and mountains in the distance that really puts your heart at peace.